Hey there, Wax Packers! Adam here with another edition of Wax Pack Flashback. I am particularly excited about today's episode because we are actually opening up a pack of cards that was covered on my Wizards podcast, Wizards, the podcast guide to comics, here on the Retro Network. And this is something that if you were reading comics in 1992, 1993, you certainly are aware of this big crossover event called Deathmate. That's right. This is a pack of Deathmate cards by Pyramid, which was a subsidiary, a new branch, if you will, of Upper Deck. Now, just to give you a little bit of a history lesson if you're not super up on the early 90s comic boom, there was a group of guys who worked at Marvel. They were selling millions of issues of Spider-Man and X-Men and X-Force, and they were so popular they decided to branch off and start their own company. They figured the fans would follow them. They weren't super happy with what Marvel was doing on the payment side, and so they started Image Comics. Yes, Image Comics, featuring Spawn and Youngblood and Savage Dragon and Wildcats and many more. So you've probably heard of Image. They're actually celebrating their 30th anniversary this year. But there was another publisher that was just as hot at the time. Maybe for a different reason, it was all about collectability in addition to the art in the early 90s. And one publisher said, well, if we underpublish, if we print fewer copies, that means that our copies of our comics are more rare. And plus, we're going to focus on story, not just art. And this group was called Valiant. Valiant Comics. Now, Exo Manowar, as you see here, was one of my particularly favorite titles that came out from Valiant. If you don't recognize them for their superhero output, you might know something about their video game output because they were responsible for the Nintendo comics of the late 80s. So if you're reading Super Mario Brothers or Captain N or Zelda in comic book form, even some WWF Battle Mania, I believe was the name of their comics. So they started out doing licensed stuff and then they got just as popular as Image. And so the two groups combined in 1993. They said, let's do a crossover. We're so popular, if we combine our powers together, we'll sell millions. And there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of excitement. And the resulting event was, in fact, Deathmate. Okay? As you can see here, in many different colors. Okay? And so Deathmate was this crossing of the universes that kind of made it as if the universes had always coexisted together. Here you have Shadow Man from Valiant, but then Grifter from Image Comics. And then you have Solar Man of the Atom here with Supreme, also from Image, okay? This was one that Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri were working on. You have Ripclaw from Cyberforce. You have Exo Manowar. You got Maul from Wildcats. Actually, the premiere of Gen 13, one of my favorite comics. And then here's a big one right here. A Rob Liefeld cover with Bloodshot, Vin Diesel, yes, and Shaft from Youngblood. And then, yes, so much shininess, right? So much going on here. So, here's the thing about Deathmate, though. Image, not known for putting their books out on time. Often many, many months late, and the fans were always waiting. Same thing happened with the Deathmate crossover. Valiant got their comics out on time. They were on shelves. People were excited. And then everybody's waiting for Rob Liefeld to draw his issue, waiting for Jim Lee to draw his issue. And it took quite a while for those to come out. And by the time the hype had died down, but the cards were coming out. And also, in addition to what was really released as the cards, there was a tour going on where you could meet all these artists and people involved in Deathmate. So they really made it a big publicity push. But let's take a look at the cards now. Let's see what we find out there, what was inside. All right, so here we are with a pack of Deathmate trading cards. Before we get to opening this, I want to talk to you a little bit about the history of this, because as you can see here, there's an ad, the end of the world is in the cards. But at the bottom of the ad, you'll notice it actually shows Topps, and then Image, and then Pyramid. Image and Valiant in a combined thing, with then a Pyramid logo there. What was Pyramid? Well, this actually tells us here in this article in Wizard, Upper Deck puts Pyramid in its scheme of things. Pyramid was the new name for their non-sports line of cards. So Upper Deck actually created a whole new subsidiary just to put out these Deathmate cards. And just like it was a crossover of sorts with the Image and Valiant companies, well, now you had Topps and Upper Deck releasing these cards. Now, the thing is, though, only the Valiant art could be printed in the Upper Deck pack, and Topps were the ones doing the Image side of things, which was very, very late. Now, as I recall, it was so late that Topps actually canceled their line of Deathmate cards. That could be incorrect, but that is the report I recall reading in Wizard Magazine. Maybe it came up later, maybe it didn't, but there are some special cards in here called Light FX and a bunch of other things, so I'm hoping we find a fun chase card all these years later. But this is like super foil pack, right? I mean, just feel that. I mean, that is a heavy duty. This isn't wax, this isn't plastic. I mean, this is very, very nice production here. So let's take a look and see what we got to start with. All right, well, hey, a checklist is always helpful. It'll give you an idea of what to look forward to and what's to come. Okay, so happy to have that. Here we go here. We have this guy who is from Brigade. I believe his name is Bloodstone, getting bludgeoned with a motorcycle by Magnus, normally a robot fighter. What it tells us here, bad idea. Enraged to the point of madness by Battlestone's repeated blows, Magnus searches for a weapon to turn against his attacker. He finds one nearby, his own motorcycle. Even as he slams several 100 pounds of steel and chrome down on Battlestone's head, Magnus realizes the futility of his attack. Battlestone merely shrugs off the blow and renews his attack. So there you go. Now here's something to look out here. You might recall Upper Deck sports cards always had that special holographic circle. Well, now they have a holographic pyramid on their non-sports cards. Also, this design in the background, super hard to read. Not the greatest idea for design back then. But these are all UV coated cards. You can kind of see the gloss on them there, right? And so this is a combination of characters, if I recall here, coming from the Valiant universe. What do they call me? I got Jeff the Geomancer. I don't know. I think they were like mashing up characters with this, but I think they were part of the, what was it? Secret Weapons. I was going to say Deadly Weapons team. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Someone getting shot up. Oh, that's too bad. Somebody from Cyberforce taking Sting out. He is from Harbinger. And this particular world, he is actually working for Toyo Harada, who's this mastermind in the Valiant universe. But in the regular Valiant comics, he is battling against Harada. So there you go. There's Stryker. That's this guy's name that has 3 arms on one side. All right, let's see who else we have here. That looks like Ninjak there. Ninjak, when he's not drawn by Joe Quesada, he just doesn't have the same impact that you would hope. But Ninjak's kind of like this British ninja. He's kind of like James Bond meets, Jackie Chan, or, he's a super martial artist, but he's also a spy that's British. And it says here that he, says blah blah blah. Now he's commanded him to kill the only woman he ever truly loved, the Coda assassin named Zealot. So they connected Zealot from Wildcats to Ninjak from Valiant here. One thing you'll notice about these cards is, this is the kind of the Valiant comic house style, and it's not that great, right? It's not super dynamic. I mean, you look at something here like what Rob Liefeld did with just the coloring and the inking, it really does stand out, whatever you think of the proportions and facial features. But, then you look at Valiant, you're kind of like, well, I guess that is a little bit boring. But here you have Armstrong, is this guy down here, and then Ivar. They're part of this whole group of brothers who could travel through time in the Valiant universe. All right, here we go now with Grifter facing off against Shadow Man on a rooftop. It's always weird to see Grifter drawn by anybody but Jim Lee, in my opinion. But here they are. For reasons of his own, Grifter prevents Archer from taking Shadow Man's life. As Archer lies unconscious at his feet, Grifter explains to Shadow Man the nature of his mission for the Hard Cats. So there was a comic called Hardcore at Valiant and Wild Cats at Image. They became the Hard Cats. Archer is to be the latest Harbinger to be studied by Omen Enterprises. They will determine a way to duplicate his powers for use against Toyo Harada. So yeah, there you go. And last card here. Oh, okay. So this is Void from Wildcats, who is part of the reason this whole thing went down. She meets with this offshoot of Solar, Man of the Atom, and they fall in love. They feel this, pull towards each other, and them being together is what merges the universe, but also is going to lead to the destruction of the world. And, I want to open up one more pack here. While we're here, let's just get to it, because those went pretty fast. And again, Valiant cards aren't the the most exciting, but it's just their art. What is this? An Atlas card. Okay. Interesting. Oh, I see. So it's showing you the different parts of the world where the stories were taking place. So this is Supreme with a beard. He's meeting up with Magnus. And yeah, so there you go right there. So it's saying, oh, this was happening in Alberta, Canada. Okay. Oh, what do you know? Another checklist. Can't have too many checklists. And let's see here. Okay. I do not recognize her right off the bat. Who is that? Livewire prepares to open an access shaft leading into the heart of the heavily guarded complex, but Jeff senses danger and his warning comes too late. Livewire, okay. Let's see here. Yeah, these cards really do stick together with that UV coating, so let's try to get them apart here. Yeah. All right. Oh, so there you go again. So there's Void and Solar meeting up, getting ready to consummate their love and destroy the universe. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Whoa. Well, he's bloody, that's for sure. Again, that's a character, like, when I see him, I read a lot of Valiant comics, but his name is Maniac. Maniac. Okay. Maniac uncovers Hydrage's duplicity. I do not know Maniac. I think he was probably from Hardcore, and I'm just not used to seeing him looking this way in this alternate universe. Oh. There we go again. See? You cross universes to fall in love, it's gonna be a problem. Let's see what they say here about this union. Giving in to the union of their power, Solar and Void are oblivious to the reasons the release of energy building around them for them. This is the purest form of love, the greatest celebration of life, but the mingling of their energies yields an explosion that could mean universal death. Even as they complete their joining, they are consumed in the ultimate supernova. Yeah, so, once again, very hard to read the backs of these cards. There's like, Okay. Another Livewire card. Apparently that was popular. And finally here, look at this. Now that is a pretty cool landscape there. Didn't even know which way to turn it, though. It was so foreign, but that is kind of wild. Dissolution. Ivar and Armstrong watch speechlessly from an ornate balcony as the city of the future, indeed the future itself, is annihilated by a shimmering wall of energy. Yeah, so there you go. All right, well, we opened up a couple packs there. No chase cards, nothing special, but now you know a little bit more about what was going on in Deathmate, at least on the Valiant side. All right, well, there you go. You know a little bit more about Deathmate, probably more than you wanted to know. And yeah, so it was interesting to see Upper Deck's interpretation of those basically just panels from the Deathmate comics. It's kind of a shame they had to deal with the less than dynamic Valiant house style of art. If they had been doing the image cards, I think that would have been just amazing. Just their style of production mixed with the style of art production the image produced. But as far as my favorite card in the set, I think I'd have to go with this particular card featuring Void from Wildcats. It's just a great rendering of a character, as well as just the background is exciting and all of that. I actually found it here in the original comic. So yeah, there you can see it was just pulled directly from an issue. That was actually art by Barry Windsor Smith, who's a very accomplished illustrator. That's probably why it's my favorite. Everybody else were kind of no-names on the Valiant side at that time, and he was just very accomplished by that point. So it was great to see, and I hope it was great for you. Yeah, we're always here to educate and give you a little nostalgic push, even if it's something you weren't there for originally or not totally plugged into. But next time around, we'll have another set of cards, more excitement to come. But you want to be there, right? So make sure you're subscribed to TRN TV on YouTube. Make sure you're finding TRN Social on Twitter and TRN Social on Instagram. If you want to find more about me and what I'm doing, you can certainly check out at Hoju Coolander on Twitter, or you can check out Wizards, the podcast guide to comics, at Wizards Comics on Twitter, and at Wizards _ there you go, at Wizards _ comics on Instagram. If you want a trip back in time to find out more about 90s comics, because this might have been your gateway, be like, I remember that, I want to know more. Well, you can find all about it there. We got so much discussion about that era. It's what we do. But I hope that you will check us out next time, and hey, we'll see you then.